Thank you, Cindy. You know, this telethon is really all about little miracles that happen at Children's Hospital here in Seattle. And I'd like you to meet one of them. You first met him last year. His name is KC Gale, and he's just a little guy. He suffered a terrible injury, but in the last year, his progress has been remarkable. His courage and his stamina and his will to survive have really amazed all of us. I'd like you to see his story right now. It was September 1986, a father-son outing to see the Mariners. 3-year-old Casey had always been a baseball fan, but on the way to their seats, Casey tripped and he rolled under a railing. He fell 23 feet to the cement below, landing on his head. When his father, Paul, turned around, Casey was gone.
I didn't know what to expect as I got to the railing, but I looked over the rail and he was lying in a heap down below. And I felt he was probably dead because I knew that he'd fallen a great distance. The particular place where he fell, I couldn't get to him. I had to run outside the dome in order to reach him.
Little KC Gale was rushed to Children's Hospital with a shattered skull and severe brain hemorrhaging. For 10 hours, doctors carefully pieced his skull back together. But Casey's brain was near comatose. His mother, Janice, could only wait and pray.
Weeks that we just didn't know, and we just continually talked to him and told him things that we'd been doing, and basically there was nothing, you know. He wasn't even really looking at anything or making any recognition of anything.
But one day, Casey began a miraculous reawakening. His parents' prayers were answered when Casey opened his eyes and smiled for the first time. And with his rebirth, a big challenge, a challenge for a 3-year-old to learn life all over again.
Oh, you got a whole bunch.
The progress was slow and painful at times. But for months, Casey's physical and occupational therapists at Children's never gave up, with a lot of love and caring for a little boy who was very determined.
This one on.
Well, he went through a lot of frustrations last summer into the fall of being able to get across what he wanted to say. He became very frustrated. He burst into tears a lot. It was very emotional. And then little by little, if he got frustrated, he would just scream and cry, and he would say, okay, just say, help me, you know. And so we would work with that, and finally it became easier for him to say, help me, which is a small thing for most children, but it was a real big deal with him.
This is KC Gale today. He's 5 now, and his progress has been remarkable. Casey is learning to be independent again.
We taught him how to put his own coat on, you know, just little things, how to brush his teeth now, have his toothbrush down so he can reach it. You know, now he's starting to want to do things on his own.
The Gales have moved to Portland, but Casey's lessons at Children's have paid off. He's learning to walk on his own, sometimes without his walker.
Now he's walking pretty much independently now, except for long distances. He gets real tired.
Casey's also going to school, a big adventure on a big school bus.
Bye-bye.
You get this bus all to yourself? Aren't you lucky? Can I sit by you? What are you going to do at school? Play? What else? Casey's speech is coming back. He understands conversation and is just plain delightful to be around.
Hi, sweetie. That's my guy this morning. Here's your one.
Casey goes to a school for physically disabled kids. He goes through intense therapy to improve his mobility and his communication. And again, his progress is startling.
Well, first let's find out who's here, okay?
Casey's teachers tell us that since he first came to the school back in September, he's become a completely different boy. He's far more daring and outgoing and verbal, and they have high hopes that one day he'll be mainstreamed into his neighborhood school.
Who's next? Raise your hand. Casey! Hi, KC Gale. You're here.
Casey lost part of his speech center after the accident, but in just 1 year, his vocabulary is increasing dramatically, along with his ability to communicate.
A baby. Oh, just like at home, huh?
As of last year, he was saying maybe 5 to 10 words that we were able to see at home. By the end of July of last year, he increased his vocab to close to 100 words. It was just dramatic.
With 3 boys to keep them busy, the Gales say they'll be forever grateful to Children's Hospital for making their lives easier during a very difficult time.
The people that we met there, the therapists and the nurses that were there, and the volunteers, and everyone became a family to us. And you know, we still keep in contact with a lot of them still, and they keep in contact with us. We miss that. They were a good support group for us.
Right now, this little guy is enjoying doing what other little boys do. What the future holds for KC Gale is simply not known. But there is no question that KC Gale's recovery is a miracle, and his future is a bright one. You know, KC Gale is just one of the many miracles, one of the many children at Children's Hospital that the hospital has literally saved.